We're setting the mood today. Join me. Hi everyone, welcome back to Quirky Pineapples. If you're new here, I'm Vina, a plant-based food blogger whose mission is to show you how simple vegan baking can be. All right, so Valentine's Day is on its way, so I thought that it would be fun to show you guys how to make chocolate dipped strawberries. Now, I don't personally celebrate Valentine's Day because capitalism, but I know that a lot of you do. And so instead of going to the grocery store and paying $50 per strawberry, or going to your girl for the hookup, which again is probably going to cost you about $50 to $100 per strawberry, I'm going to show you how to make them at home. So let's get started. To make these chocolate dipped strawberries, of course you'll need strawberries, you'll need vegan friendly chocolate, some vegan friendly white chocolate, some skewers to help make dipping a little bit more simple, and some coconut oil. Now this is actually optional. The use of this is going to depend on the consistency of your chocolate, which of course depends on the type of chocolate that you buy. So have some of this on hand just in case, but you may not need it. What we're gonna start with is melting our chocolate. And so I'm gonna sort of create a makeshift double boiler. I have some boiled kettle water here, nice and hot and steamy, that I'm gonna pour into a pot and use a glass, or you could use a metal bowl to melt the chocolate. One of the reasons that I don't really care much for doing this on the stove is because I don't want to scorch my chocolate, and I feel like there's a higher chance of that happening if I'm on the stove. And then I really don't like to use the microwave for chocolate because of the same reason. I feel like this gives me a little bit more control, especially for the consistency of the chocolate. So let's make sure, let's see, that should be good. All right, so now I have my makeshift double boiler, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pour my chocolate chunks. I have chunks, but I would recommend using chips. It just so happened that I wasn't paying very close attention when I was ordering these. All right. And then you let them kind of sit there for a little bit and let them get warm on the glass bowl. And as they start to melt, we'll be able to sort of stir and make it a nice, smooth and rich texture. Okay, so my chocolate is now starting to melt. So like I said, it's one of those things that you have to be patient with. We've got a nice hot bowl. And we're just gonna pretty much stir here and there until all of the chocolate is melted. One of my favorite things to make when I was doing cake decorating and desserts as a business was dipped treats. So dipped pretzels and dipped cookies and all different things like that. I used to make cake pops and everything, and even of course dipped strawberries. And so I kind of found them to be I like doing them because they were sort of the easiest thing to do, which is why I thought it would be fun to show you guys this. And I've seen a lot of people complaining online about how expensive it is to buy dipped strawberries. So you end up saving a lot of money by pretty much doing this yourself. All right, so now our chocolate is nice and smooth and creamy, as you can see. That didn't take very long, right? So what I'm gonna do now is, I'm gonna be careful, just like you are, so you don't burn yourself. I'm gonna transfer this to a jar, so let me grab my jar. And what you want is something that is sort of narrow, but deep enough that you can dip your strawberries in. So you don't want to use this because it's a little too wide. But I am going to transfer our chocolate. Let's see if I can do this without hurting myself. So let's move this. And then I do want to dry off the bottom of my bowl. And again, I can't stress this enough. Please be careful. I don't want you burning yourself trying to do this. And I'm pretty sure whoever you're making these for doesn't want you to injure yourself while you're doing this. All right, I just want to make sure all that water is gone because I don't want to pour any water into my Uh-oh. All right, so now we're just gonna pour our chocolate into our jar. Ah! Sometimes we make a little mess. That's okay. We'll try and get as much of the chocolate as we can. I mean, you just kind of get to eat that. Okay, so now that our chocolate is ready for dipping, you don't necessarily have to do this, but I do recommend that you take a moment to sort of bang your jar on the counter. And what this is gonna do is work up any air bubbles so that you don't dip and have air bubbles on your strawberries. So and you'll notice that you'll see bubbles come to the surface and pop, but you don't have to pop all of them. I know this looks weird. Whatever. All right, I think that's enough. So let me go ahead and throw that off to the side. Okay, so dipping your strawberries. Now here is the fun part. Now I'm gonna use the skewer because it gives me a little bit more control. It also prevents me from having to try and hold on to the strawberries by their little leafy hat. I don't want to accidentally drop it in. So you're just going to put your skewer through. You're not going to go all the way through. Sometimes it might fight you a little bit. There we go. Probably about halfway through, just so you know that the strawberry is not going anywhere. And then you're going to dip. So give it a dip, a little twirl. You can dip about as far as you see fit. Now, here's the part where people tend to make a mistake when they're making strawberries for themselves at home. Taking them out of the chocolate and immediately putting them on the parchment paper. You gotta be patient. Patiently kind of try and jiggle off as much of that excess chocolate as you can. And what this is gonna do is keep the chocolate from pooling. I like to sort of call it feet or a foot, where when you put it down onto your parchment paper, you don't end up with so much extra chocolate pooling down on the bottom that you end up with this weird like foot at the bottom. And so we don't want that. So you're gonna jiggle, kind of trying not to hit the sides of the jar. You're gonna try and jiggle off as much of that chocolate as you can until you don't get too much of a drip. Now, it doesn't have to be until it completely stops dripping, but again, you want to get off as much as you can, okay? So now we're going to take it and lay it on top of our parchment paper. You can leave the stick in. I mean, if you're worried about wasting sticks, this is one of those things where you might want to just use your hands to do it, but you don't want to start removing the stick until after the chocolate is completely dry. So we're gonna let that sit and set on the parchment paper. Yes, please use parchment paper. Don't just sit it on a plate or anything like that directly. Like I said, this is gonna be the difference between having your strawberries look like you bought them from, you know, a special dessert place, and whether you just kind of throw them together at home. So we'll do our second one. Again, we're not going all the way through. Gonna give it a dip. Go as high as you see fit. I usually like to leave a little bit of the top showing. And again, you have to be patient. We're only gonna make about 12 strawberries here. So, like I said, if you're making these for your partner, you can, you know, do this while they're at work or while they're out at the grocery store or whatever, and probably have them done in the time that it takes for them to get back. All right, so we're down to our last few strawberries. And so a few tips that I have for you if you decide to make these. Of course, you want to make sure that you wash your strawberries. You don't want to be chewing on sand and dirt. But wash your strawberries ahead of time. Kind of towel dry them off, pat dry them. And then what you'll want to do is put them in the refrigerator uncovered for maybe about 30 minutes or so. And what that'll do is kind of help make sure that the surface of the strawberries are really completely dry. Something about the refrigerator helps them dry a little bit more. So as you can see, I'm down to dipping my last couple of strawberries. I mean, you can't quite see it here, but you can tell the ones that I got a little impatient on. There's like one or two of them. I cannot stress enough, just be patient. Tap off as much of that chocolate as you can. If you find that your chocolate is a little stiff, then that's when you could probably add about a teaspoon of coconut oil to sort of loosen it up. But I didn't find that I had to do that with this particular brand of chocolate. I think I used the Enjoy Life brand is what it was. But there's plenty of other allergen friendly, vegan friendly chocolates that are out there. Okay. So like I said, I'm just trying to get this bit of a tail off. When the tail of the chocolate is like really thin, then you know that you can probably go ahead and stop tapping and put it on your parchment paper. There we go. And for the most part, the strawberries will stand up on their own. The skewers shouldn't be so heavy that they weigh them down. I'm just using some 6-inch skewers. I would recommend just using maybe 6-inch skewers or even toothpicks. But like I said, I think there's a lot more control with this particular stick. One, it's pretty thick and sturdy. My fear with a toothpick is that it could break and then you end up with your strawberry dunking into your chocolate and then you've ruined the strawberry. So we're down to our final strawberry. Like I said, gotta be patient, but it really doesn't take very long. It's a good time to listen to a podcast or someone just released an album and then just kind of take your time. All right, I think we're almost there. So what I'm gonna do after I'm done tapping off more chocolate is these are gonna go in the refrigerator for about 10 minutes. That's pretty much all you need for the chocolate to stiffen. And you'll notice that instead of the chocolate looking shiny, it'll be nice and matte, and that'll be your first indication that your strawberries are done. Last strawberry finished up. I'm gonna put it down here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and carefully put these in my refrigerator, like I said, for about 10 minutes until they're no longer glossy and that chocolate is a nice matte hard shell. So our strawberries have now chilled. You'll notice that our chocolate has gone from that nice shiny texture that it had to a nice matte. That's a good indication that your chocolate has set, but an even better indication that your chocolate has set is if you go to lift it off of the parchment paper and there's no chocolate left behind. So yeah, well, of course there's a little bit, but not wet chocolate left behind. So now we're going to sort of decorate it. We're gonna keep our decoration really simple. I've just got some white chocolate here that I'm going to add to a pastry bag. And I just heated this up in the microwave. I know I said I didn't want to use the microwave. That was for the regular chocolate. But and I heat this up in the microwave for maybe about 30 seconds. That's really all that these ones needed. And then I did end up having to add about a half teaspoon of coconut oil to this to get it to a nice pour consistency that I needed it to be at. Okay, so I'm just gonna add this to my pastry bag. And we don't need much. Now, I do highly recommend that you use a pastry bag for this because you're gonna have a lot more control with the pastry bag. I know sometimes we can do a drizzle with a spoon or, you know, even maybe with the skewer a little bit. But in this case, I do recommend using a pastry bag because you're gonna get a lot more control on your drizzle, okay? So I've got my chocolate in my pastry bag. I'm just gonna close it up really tightly before I snip a hole. And then the hole that you snip, you really want it to be a very, very tiny hole, really tiny. And so I'm just gonna cut off a very, very, very small end, okay? And I always recommend testing things before you do it. So in my case, I'm gonna try and make sure that I have a big enough hole here, and that might not be as big as I want it to be, so I'm gonna cut it just a little bit more. Not a lot, but a very, very small amount. Just so I can get the right drip. There we go. Now that's what I'm looking for, is a really good drip. And then I'm gonna do this over the parchment paper. So let me go ahead and turn this the other way because I'm right-handed. All right, I'm gonna lift up your strawberry, and actually, I'm sorry, I'm gonna grab my bowl and do this over my bowl. Got my old chocolate bowl here because we're gonna set it back down on the parchment paper. And then you're gonna start from the tip of the strawberry and work your way up, or you can start from the top and work your way down, whatever motion works best for you. And like I said, you're gonna practice your drizzle just a little bit, make sure you're getting a pour. All right, there we go. You can see this is one that I wasn't patient with, so it has the feet, but that's okay. Keep tightening my bag as I go. Get the drip going first, and then there we go. And you see how simple this is? So you don't have to pay somebody $50 per strawberry to do it. Or if you trying to make yourself a little extra money and make $50 per strawberry, just something really simple. Now you could get fancy and find other things to drizzle. I mean, you could also use your same regular chocolate and drizzle over. That's still a nice effect. If you wanted to do this the other way around, where you dip them in the white chocolate and drizzle them with the regular chocolate, you could. All right. All right, so now they're all dressed up and pretty. You don't really have to put them back into the fridge to set all over again, since the chocolate was already cold. Once you put the white chocolate on, it should just pretty much set after a minute or two. So I'm gonna get them off the skewers and onto the plate. So what you kind of want to do is kind of put it in between your fingers and set it down and give it a pull and just slide it off. That way you're not worried about messing up your strawberries or anything like that. Just do, there we go. And they should come off pretty easily, where you don't have to worry too much about messing up your strawberries. But just take your time and be gentle. Don't try to force it. Just go really slow if for some reason they're behaving like they don't want to come off. It's really slow. There we go. And then you'll want to keep these refrigerated until you're ready to serve them. The thing about chocolate that's not exactly tempered is that it will start to melt a little bit once it gets back to room temperature. So you'll want to keep these chilled until you're ready to bring them out to your boo and show them all your hard work and what you did. All right, so that is our finished product of our dipped strawberries. They've got a nice little shell on the outside and they should be nice and juicy on the inside. So like I said, you want to keep these chilled until you're ready to serve them. They'll probably keep in the fridge for maybe about 2 days. I wouldn't keep them any further than that. But yeah, keep them chilled until you're ready to serve, and press that boo of yours and enjoy your Valentine's Day. But yeah, so if you decide to make these and they turn out really good, don't forget to let me know in the comments. Let me know how they turned out. Let me know how your partner liked them, all that good stuff. But the recipe will be in the description box below, as well as I'll put my QR code here for quirkypineapples.com, where you can also find more details on how to properly make these. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Wait, no, vegan baking specifically. Okay. Respectfully. Welcome back to Kirk. We're setting the mood today. Oh, the flame went out. Blooper.